To me 1 hour ago. I hope I will not tell you this name. I'm from Never Again Association, and as I said previously, Never Again monitors hate crimes incidents. And you are asking about the context of the Polish, what is happening in Poland now. And for years we documented about dozens hate crimes incidents per month. Now, there are even weeks that we describe at least over a dozen incidents per 1 week. And the number of hate crimes since autumn or even summer 2015 grow up. It's much bigger than in the previous years. And to compare it, Brown Book is a kind of publication that it gather only examples. It's not possible to have the full monitoring of hate crime in Poland. And in 2009 and 10, we described more than 400 incidents. 2 years later, in 2011 and 12, we described more than 600 incidents. Now, from the summer 2015, we are not able to count all of them. We just register and gather the material to make this description later. It's important to say that Poland is a homogenic country. We have some national minorities, but these are very few numbers of a group of people. For centuries, in Poland live people from different nations using different languages. For example, Jews. Before the Second World War, Jews were 10% of the Polish society. After the Second World War, there are almost no Jews in Poland. But there are almost no Jews. But we have the phenomena, the problem that it is called anti-Semitism without Jews. Now, the same situation is when it comes to Muslims. We have in Poland islamophobia without Muslims. And it started years ago, and this topic, this figure of refugee was used by politicians because it was a time of election, of the campaigns. To president and parliament election. And the politicians, they started to use hate speech against Muslims of course, to get a higher statistic, to get the votes. And so political, but also media. Every time I watch TV, I was afraid that all these people on the boats, on the seas, they will find out in my room, at every station, at every TV program. They had no names, no faces. They were just crowd on the boats who is coming to Europe and who is coming to us. And it was for months. And the hate speech in the internet, it started in a language, but as I said, hate crime, it's not some new phenomenon in Poland, but for 1 year it's more intensive. It's a much more bigger problem than years after. And so it started from language, from politicians, media, but also in the internet. And even one of the biggest Polish newspaper closed the possibility to publish comments below the articles that were about refugees and this humanitarian crisis. They closed this possibility because there were thousands and hundreds of hate speech statements. And of course, this aggression that was in language soon turned into the aggression on the streets. And in a short time, there were several and more brutal physical attacks against foreigners, against people who look different, and this atmosphere was created also on the street by far-right movements, far-right manifestations. For months there were even dozens such anti-refugees, xenophobic manifestations per month, and the participant of it shouted, for example, "Arabs get out of Poland, down with Islam, Poland for the Polish." We didn't have, and there are still any refugees in Poland, but they shouted, "Arabs get out of Poland." Also, we will find a stick for the ugly Islamic mug, or even one of this organization, National Radical Camp, which is very close to the neo-fascism. The participant of the manifestation, organized by them, shouted, "Breivik, save us." And these manifestations were and are still very, very common and very often in Poland, and this kind of language. I have no information about the perpetrators, if someone was arrested and if someone was punished by it. I just have one information about just one case. Prosecutor, the case was dropped by prosecutor because the perpetrators remained undetected. So, but it's not something new. In Brown book, we described for years xenophobic and racist manifestations, also homophobic manifestations, and even no one. I know that according to the prosecutor statistic, only four person in 2014 were accused of taking part in xenophobic manifestation, and they were accused of propagating fascism during that time. 4 people. And such a manifestation every month now, but also earlier, at least over a dozen per month. And I said that this kind of hate turns into the physical violence. We had in Poland attacks against people who were just for a moment in Poland or who lived here. And what is very important and somehow interesting, these people were attacked because they were seen as immigrants. For example, a Hindu couple was attacked, and the perpetrators told them, "You are Syrian." They had nothing common with Syria. They looked just different. They had non-white skin color, and they were attacked. And listen to this word about Syrian, because they heard it in the media, in the television. They found it in the internet, and this is the example how this hate speech connected with refugees or migrants turned into the hateful hatred on the street. And now the main problem from our perspective is that the state institution doesn't work and react properly. For some time ago, one Pole was killed on Great Britain, and some other was beaten. And there, 3 members of government, 3 ministers, they went to Great Britain to teach Britons how to fight with hate crime against Poland. At the same time, in Poland, the number of hate crime was getting higher and higher. But one of the Ministry of Interior said that there is no any problem. the number of hate crimes in Poland is so small that it's even not worth to talk about it. And he compared it with some other crimes. But of course, when you compare it, for example, with stealing something or with hooliganism, the number of hate crimes will always, in Poland, in homogenic country, will always be much smaller. But it's impossible and it's not fair to compare such crimes. So I told you earlier about never anti-racist, never again activities. Just 3 words. We provide brown book, which is used by media, by organization, and which is a proof that racism is a pro-social problem in Poland. We publish our Never Again magazine, but also we have some social and educational campaign. Let's kick racism out of the stadium. It was the aim of this campaign was to remove the racist and xenophobic transparents and other contents from the stadium. In 2012, Never Again was an official partner of UEFA during this Polish-Ukrainian football tournament. And it's an example how we try to use the sport as a tool to promote some positive message, as a tool to say young people, to say football fans, to say black-skinned players about the value of multiculturalism. And the second campaign, Music Against Racism, is also addressed mostly to young, and it's also a tool that comes from popular culture to spread our anti-racist message. Thank you very much.